Seriously.
Welcome back to No But Seriously,
the podcast where we keep it honest, keep it real, but not too serious.
I'm Jamaica.
And I'm Anna.
So today is going to be a somewhat interesting episode. We wanted to talk about dating and like what our dating lives have been like, but Leo,
you already know.
Yes, from our episode on politics, told us that neither one of us have been dating. We've just been in situationships.
Yes. I mean, I claimed that I've been on a couple dates, but he was like,
but you're not dating.
But you're not dating. Like, you've been on a couple dates, but you've been in a situationship for a while.
And he's right.
Yes. We came to the realization that he's always right, apparently. Always.
So we wanted to talk about where we are now with our situationships, but like also like kind of like
how we got here, first of all.
How we got here.
And the decisions that we've made, where we're going to be very vulnerable with y'all and just, maybe you relate to this in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, because, we definitely contribute to where we are now.
Right.
It's not all just the men, even though it's a big chunk of them. But.
Right. We do a lot of the decision making.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I feel like I didn't even really care about dudes that much. Obviously, I was always attracted to dudes and stuff like that. I had crushes. But I feel like I didn't really, like, actively care about like being intimate or like being vulnerable with them until I was in grad school. And I think it's because like my whole focus was like going to school, getting my education, like ain't nobody getting in the way of that. And then once I got to grad school, I felt like I was like in a groove but also like a little bit burnt out. So I'm like, I need a way
distraction.
to like let off some steam and distract myself. And so I started just opening myself up to guys and to a lot of them, and not like to like form relationships with them, just to like be intimate, honestly. And so I was being very, very reckless and, I guess you would say promiscuous, but, you probably say a thought now, but.
I was going to say, there's going to be other words for it nowadays.
Now, but back then, no. But you would probably say a thought now. I didn't advertise it, but.
Right.
That's what I was doing. And I feel like I had a lot of fun, Like I had a lot of fun doing it, but hindsight is everything. And I have thought about like how reckless I was and like, how, how many times I took like plan B's and, how many times I was just like, I don't even like this dude, like. I don't even like this dude.
There's been times where, sorry to cut you off, but when you said that, like, there was times where I'm like, I just want to get him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, to prove
that I could get him.
Right,
yep.
Right. But then when you got him, you're like, oh, bro, like, why
That's
did I? Right,
yeah.
Like, I got you, now I'm going to move on, because I'm like, I just wanted to prove to myself or whoever that I could get you.
Yeah, and I think that's what the thing was. It's like I wanted to just get people, and I didn't want to be just attached to one person. So I was like, okay, let me move on quickly. And so then that translated to a large volume because I was just, okay, I'm in school, I ain't trying to, let me just move on quickly. And there were a few people that I revisited, during that time. And, there was one in particular that I'm thinking about. He turned out to be like a really good friend to me and, would, kind of call me out on stuff. Would I change it? No. but he would call me out and like, he was a decent person to me back then. And I would have called him like my friend. And, but I was still like, I ain't trying to get too, attached. So like he would be like an old faithful, I guess. But,
the one that's always there.
Yeah.
You can text him today.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was, really reckless. And I thank God, like, that it didn't turn out a way that I didn't want it to turn out. But I was just having fun. I think I was just trying to have fun. And that was the way I wanted to have fun at that time. And that's the thing, like, I don't think I regret it, like, I think
I don't.
Yeah, I think that you
learned so much.
Yeah, a lot about myself, one, and then, like, how I am with men, and back to that thing of, like, I just wanted to show that I could get them. And, like, you could get a lot of dudes,
Yeah, and you don't have to be, like, a 10 out of a 10.
No, no. They were all across the board too. Like there was not like one specific type. It was just like they were all across the board. And I had some good times. I feel like I just stopped caring, right. And I feel like up until that point I just cared so much about, being a certain way, doing a certain thing, and I stopped caring. And that just felt so like freeing, That
reminds me of a saying, going back to like, you don't have to be a 10 out of 10. There was this quote that says like, a girl can walk to any room and she can basically have sex with anybody. But a guy walks to a room full of girls, he like has to show, like he has to have, what do people call it nowadays? Riz or whatever. And like, 90% of the girls can say no to him versus if a girl goes into the room full of guys, 90% of them might say yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Even if you think they ain't gonna say yes, they gonna say yes. Right. Yeah. Right. They gonna say yes. Cause guys, and that is, I learned that during that time. Like the ones you think are gonna say no, they ain't gonna say no. Right. Yeah. And the ones that, even the ones that might say no, with their friends or whatever, they ain't gonna say.
They gonna send you a message like, hey, I didn't
I
really
learned
mean
so
that.
much about men during that time.
Right.
Like, they really be capping, like, for their friends.
For everything,
they really do.
Capping for everything.
And so, I even learned, like, how insecure some men are. Like, they are very.
And for some of the smallest things, too, sometimes. Literally,
I literally don't even care about that. You know what I mean? Like,
which now sometimes I'm like, maybe I should have cared.
Yeah, yeah. And what stopped me in that time is I did end up dating one of them, and I did. That's the thing. I didn't even want to.
It's always like that, though. It's always like that.
I didn't even want to. It was just like a one-time thing for me. And then, like, a friend that I had at the time was like, oh, you should talk to him. You should make sure, give him, like, how, like, the typical, like, guy things that you should do, like, call them the next morning. Like, like, she was saying I should do that. I'm like, why? Like, I don't. Right.
You're like,
I'm done.
Next.
Like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, and it was my birthday. Like, I was just,
Yeah.
And so, she was like, you should give him a chance and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and so then I did.
And that was
a big mistake.
Yeah.
That was a big mistake.
Those are the ones, though.
That was a huge mistake.
Those are
He
the
was just very unstable emotionally, like just very unstable emotionally, and like super exhausting, super draining, so negative, like just would literally bring the mood down in a lot of situations. Like, and it's just like, I don't even want to be around you. You know, like it's just so bad. And he would threaten to kill himself. And like, this is not funny. Lord, this is not funny. Like one time, like we were in my apartment, me, him, and my friend, and like I think he came in the room or something and had like, it looked like blood on his leg and had a knife or something like that.
Is it like a kitchen knife or like a butter knife?
I don't even remember because the gag is it wasn't even blood. It was like ketchup or barbecue sauce or something on his fucking leg.
Stop.
This is the stuff I get myself into.
What?
Yes.
Why though? Why did he show up?
It was for attention to make it seem like he was trying to hurt himself. Like he would literally, and I had never experienced. I know girls had like talked about experiencing that, like guys threatening to but I had never experienced that.
So he just showed up to the like while y'all were talking, and he's just like, "Look."
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. I think he was upset. He would just get upset about like literally everything. It would just be like the smallest thing, and it would just like be the worst thing ever to him.
How did y'all find out it was ketchup or barbecue? Did he say it?
I don't know. One of us touched it or something.
You're like, it's too thick to be black.
I don't remember what it was, but somehow we found out, and it was just like. Oh my God, that was so horrible. And I was in that relationship for like almost a year.
Oh wow.
It's just like, it's so hard to get out. It's so hard to get out because then you start to feel guilty, especially when somebody threatening, like I know it's unhealthy that you threatening to kill yourself, but like I also feel guilty that you were threatening to kill yourself. Yeah, for you even saying it too. Yeah. And it was just it was so bad. And that's when I moved to Indiana, and like looking back on it, like I think I was moving to like get away from him, and then I realized that was a big mistake. So let me come back. But it was so like that was so bad, and like I just feel like I learned to like. For the most part, I try to follow my first mind when it comes to stuff like that. If I'm not interested in the beginning, like I don't want to make myself be interested, and I feel like that's what I did, and there were signs that I really wasn't into it. I had kissed somebody else, like maybe like a week into us like being
like together or dating.
Yeah. And that's
that says a lot.
Yeah. So but I just moved on right on past that. And then, he was just so, I don't want to use the word crazy, but he was just so bananas. Like
unstable, maybe.
Very unstable. Like so unstable emotionally. And then he would like, and then he had such a bad friend group too. Like that, like they weren't really for him. Like, you know what I mean? And like I think we had broken up, but I would still like go around because like my friend was still friends with his friend. And so like when his friend would host like stuff, I would still go with her. And so I remember there was like a barbecue or something. His friend was like hitting on me. Like knowing I was his ex.
Oh man.
And I think I kind of liked it. I don't remember exactly what happened.
I mean, y'all broke up, right?
Yeah, I wasn't with him.
And that mentality too, like, oh look, I got your friend. Like,
yeah, I wasn't with him, but we definitely probably like crossed the line a little bit that night. But honestly, I feel like his friend was somebody I'd be more interested in than him anyways. Just off like initial like interaction. That was the first time. Yeah, that was the first time I had met him. And so then So then, after that, I think I would still talk to my ex every, once in a while or whatever. And then, then he started to like accuse me of like sleeping with his friend or whatever. And I'm like, I know I didn't. Like, I might have wanted to, but I definitely didn't. And so I kept saying, I'm like, who told you that? Who told you? Like, who told you that? Like,
because now I'm
it's like, I know y'all did something. And I know there was one other person who saw like how we were interacting. I'm like, it had to be that person. And I'm like, first of all, we ain't even gonna talk about him anyways. But I was like, who told you? Because you keep accusing me. I'm trying to be your friend. Like, I'm trying to talk to you, but like, I don't want to sit here and like be accused every time we talk on the phone about sleeping with your friend. And so he was like, I told myself. What?
I'm sorry.
What? I told myself. This is the stuff I used to deal with. Like, what you mean you told yourself that I had slept with your friend? Like
I would have.
Bold face told me that. Like, he was dead serious. Like, I told myself that y'all had did something.
I would have like been like, okay, if you would have said, oh well, he said he had a dream about it, then I'd be like, oh, that has happened.
He said he told himself that me and him had did something that we had sex, and I'm like, I know for a fact. So I was doubling down on it because I knew I didn't. Right. So like, I knew I didn't. For that reason, I didn't want to cross that line.
Right.
Like, regardless if we were together or not, I did not want to cross that line. So I for sure did not. But after he said that, I was like, shit, now I'm going to.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I'm like, I don't owe you any loyalty. At this point,
you told yourself. So now to make my point.
To make a point, I'm already. You already decided.
Apparently, you can read the future, but good.
Yeah, I was depriving myself because I wanted to and I wasn't. But now I might as well.
Right.
You
told yourself.
You convinced yourself that I did already. So then I did. So I'm like, I don't owe you any loyalty. That's supposed to be your closest friend. I mean, he had talked about this dude so much, and I had not met him. Like, I dated this dude almost a year, and I never met this friend. But they would talk
Maybe that's why.
They would talk about him all the time. Yeah, hindsight, they don't trust him around their girls. Yeah. And so, so then I did. I'm like, he's your friend. He owes you all the loyalty.
Yeah, not me.
And so I did. And so, that was that. And, dudes will come back, but I'm like, I don't.
Dudes always come back.
I don't want to keep doing it with you. Like, the only reason I did it is, one, I was bored, and two, I was trying to, like, make a point.
I don't know why some of y'all do, bro. Like, I don't understand why guys come back. Like, I understand if they're like thirsty or like,
and I make it clear that that's it. Like,
right. But when you make it clear and then they still trying, like, I'm like, bro, I already told you no. I don't need to tell you no another 50 more times.
You think I'm gonna change my mind?
Right.
You think you that much more convincing this time?
Right.
I know what it's like. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know what it's like.
I remember this dude because I kept saying no to him, and then we hadn't spoken in like months. It was months. And then he randomly sends me a meme. And the meme says something like, remember when I used to help you pick up your clothes or something? And then I was like, yes, I remember. And you did not help me pick up my clothes, bro. So no, that is still a no. Like, why do you think this is going to get me to say yes, bro? Yeah. Like, no is a no. And I just leave it at that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and I know people probably ain't gonna like this, but I'm not saying it to like boast about it, but like, this is like real stuff that I did, and me now wouldn't do it. Like, even to spite somebody, I wouldn't do it now. But me then, after all the stuff that I had gone through with him, like, I was a way more immature person at that point. So yeah, I did it to spite him. Also, I was bored. I mean, it's not like I hung up the phone and like went right to the dude. I didn't do that. It had been like maybe a week or two after, I think. But yeah, I mean, he tried to come back a few times, and I was like, no. And I told him, I was like, the only reason we did is because I was bored.
You told him that? Mm-hmm. What did he say?
I don't remember. But, like, I used to be honest. Like, you know, I think dudes be like, well, are you bored now? You know, like, they try to say stuff like that. He probably said something like that. I don't remember. But this was, like, years ago. And so that relationship ended, like, 2017. Like, early 2017. So my situation with a friend probably happened like in the summertime of 2017. And so then after that, I didn't really like go back to my old my old ways, I guess. I didn't start like messing around with dudes. I think that if I was doing anything at that point, it was like dudes that I had already been with before.
Those are the easier ones. Like, you already know, like, let me just open up this black book. Cool, you down, I'm down, let's go.
Yeah, it wasn't nobody new. I wasn't trying to, like, do that anymore. And then I would, like, talk to guys here and there, like, you know. But nobody, you know, became serious. Until, well, that they weren't even serious. I don't even want to say until. And then I got in a little situation with somebody I worked with at the time. And I mean, initially we were just cool. Like, we just, like, he had started working there, and I connect pretty good with guys, like, you know, so, like, he had started working there, and we just, like, related. One, on the fact that I think we were the only two black people that worked there at that time, like, that worked in our specific department.
I'd say almost even that building, that office that we were in.
Well, there were a couple of black people on the other side, like, they were like in prevention and stuff.
Right.
But we were the only two, like,
we never saw them, so I'm like,
right. So, like, I didn't even include them. Like, we were the only two that would have regular conversations, and so we just kind of connected off of that, I think. And then, you know, at that time we would all go out and get drinks and stuff after work, and, like, we would do a lot of activities together. And so he started to come out with us. And then one night we had went to this bar. I don't even know if bars do this anymore, but they used to do, like, wristband specials. Like, you would buy a wristband and could, like, drink really as much as you wanted. I don't even know if bars do that.
I was going to say, I don't think so.
Yeah, it was a bar on the north side. This tell you how long ago it was. It was a bar. This was 2017, at the end of 2017, I think. Yeah. And so, because I had, this is around the time that I had applied to be a manager at the job. And, because we were talking about it that night. That's how I remember. Because I felt like a couple people didn't want me to do it, or didn't want me to be the manager or something. And so we had been talking about it that night. So that's how I remember it was that time. But we had went out, and then everybody that came out had pretty much left except for me, him, this other girl, and this other girl. Yeah, because then she ended up meeting somebody that night, or a couple of people that night. And so that's when, like, you know, everybody started, like, dancing or whatever, and we were just, like, you know, having a good time. And then me and him started dancing with each other, and then it just kind of escalated from there. We didn't do anything past, like, kiss, I think. I think that's the only thing yeah. I know we didn't do more, but I'm trying to make sure we kissed that night. I think we did. And so then that was it. I mean, it was just, like, gonna be nothing. Like, I was about to become the manager. Like, this ain't gonna be nothing.
Right. Like, it's not gonna move past this.
Right. Like, we were just out having a good time. And at the time, he had a girlfriend, and I was like, I'm not gonna mess. I got caught up in the moment. Right. Like, we ain't doing that. And so since then, we had just been friends. I mean, we would hang out after work a lot. I mean, I feel like we would flirt a little bit. But for the most part, we would be, working at work and then hang out after work. And it wasn't a problem. And then I felt like there would be like some nights that I felt like he would drink and he would cross the line, Like I know how to drink and like hope, like control myself.
Right.
Like it's never like I'm going to be doing too much.
Doing something stupid.
Yeah. But I feel like when he would drink, he would just
let loose. Yeah,
a little too much though. And I feel like he would cross the line. And the one of the first issues I remember having with him is like me and his girlfriend have very similar names, or his girlfriend at the time had very similar names. And he would call me. He had called me her like multiple times.
When he was drunk.
And that I'm just like, stop doing that. Stop doing it. Like, one, you're already drunk and like being like too much, and like so then you're doing that. So now I'm really irritated. Like you were already irritating me. Now I'm really irritated. And so there were a couple times like he would sleep it off on my couch. But we would never like. I mean, we were both clear on like I'm the manager. Like
on boundaries.
Yeah. We were both clear on that. And then at some point I felt like it may have started to get a little unclear. And I think it was like after he had broken up, or he told me he'd broken up with his girlfriend. I don't even think he told me. I think I found out from somebody else. I think he had told somebody else, and I was like,
and then you found out,
or hearing it, and and so that was like, I'm like, why wouldn't you just like? We were literally seeing each other almost every day, like we were the closest at work. Like I thought that was weird. Why didn't you just say that? And so, I felt like he would talk to me about her, or like say things like about like problems that they had and stuff like that. And, I would always wonder, like, where does she think you are? You know what I mean? Like, we were hanging out a lot. And sometimes you would be sleeping on my couch. Yeah. Like, where the hell does she think you are?
That you get home at 2 a.m. from work.
Yeah, like, but that's not my business. That's yours, And so then they broke up. And so I felt like, I don't know if we got even more close or what, but, he just would, tell me about, stuff like, about her. And I did meet her one time. We had another work outing. And one of our coworkers had invited us all to her house. It was like this was when you weren't talking to me, so that's why you weren't you weren't involved in most of this. But that's because I was hanging out with somebody else a lot more at that time too. And so we were all at her house. And he brought her, but didn't like say anything. I'm like, I feel like you should give me a heads up. You know what I mean? Like at that point we had like crossed the line at least, and like you gonna bring her, to something that I'm at, I just felt like that was kind of, shicey on both ends. Like I'm sure you didn't tell her, and if you did, then
she wanted to see who,
right? You know what I mean? Like what type of energy is this gonna be? But she didn't really interact with us. I mean, for the most part, she didn't. So that was fine. And I felt a little weird because I felt like he was interacting with us a lot, and maybe I was just feeling guilty. And, like maybe part of me was just feeling guilty because he was interacting with us a lot, and like left her off to the side, kind of. So that happened, and I think shortly after that they had broken up or something like that. And then he would talk to me about their problems and like how he didn't want to be back with her and all that stuff. Like we would go out and I'm like listening to all this stuff, and then one of the biggest things that happened that like I guess it hurt me is like then he told me that she was pregnant. And I was like, what?
Like, repeat that?
Right. Like, right. What? Because, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm hearing, like, that, you don't want to be with her. Like, y'all are done. Like, but you still having sex with her. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it had been months that they had broken up. So you had to have had sex with her.
Right.
Like, they had sex while they were broken up.
Right.
And he told me this, like, I think we were in my car. I don't remember where we were going, but he had told me that. And I was just like, I was eating it a little bit, but I was just like a little taken aback. Like,
why now too?
Right. Like, I don't know what you want me to do with it.
Yeah, with that information.
Because I feel like at that point we were, teetering across the line. And then now she's pregnant. That was like a halt for me. Right. That was it. That took away any chance we did have. That was it. And then, so then, I'm trying to think about the timeline because then I still was trying to, be a good sport. We had thrown baby showers for everybody else.
I was just going to say, you threw the baby shower.
That had kids. Yeah, so I had organized, that for him. Yep. Because I wasn't going to be, like that. We had like done that for about it. Yeah, we had done that for everybody else. So, like, why not do it for him? Right. I didn't even go. I can't remember why I didn't go, but I didn't even go. But I had planned it. I don't remember why I didn't go.
Did you not go to work that day? I can't remember.
No, I did go to work. I think I got called into like a last minute meeting or something.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Because I had bought stuff. Yeah. So I had went. But so I was trying to be a good sport or whatever, and I had I don't even know if me and him were really hanging out as much. Once that happened, we probably weren't. But anyways, then we just continued on, working. And for the most part, work and like us being friends, we were good about keeping that separate. I would hold him accountable at work, and he knew what to expect from me. And then, for the most part, that was it. And then one night he was out drinking. We were all out drinking, I think. But he again got a little too wasted.
As always.
But he wasn't gonna come to my house. You know what I mean? So like, I was sitting in the car with him, like, trying to get him to sober up. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm really ready to go home, but since we got to sit in the car, I think we just started talking. And then he tells me, I don't even remember how the exact conversation went, but basically he tells me that he was using me for work or whatever. Basically is how I took it. It's like he was using me at work. And then it pissed me off because, one, why are you telling me this? Two, how the fuck are you using me? You still getting trouble. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you benefiting? Nothing. I'm still writing you up. Like, I was literally writing him up. So, like, I don't understand why you would tell me that. And
do you think maybe he was just, like, that was his intent? Like, not saying that, like, his intent, but it just didn't be, it wasn't successful.
It was a poor execution.
Right, like, that's what I'm saying, maybe he felt a little guilty, and, like, maybe that's why he said it.
I don't know. Yeah, but it completely pissed me off because I'm like, now you just ruined this whole thing. Like, you ruined it. By one if that's what you were doing it. And then 2, by saying it, you know? Like, and I'm like, this whole time you've been friends with me just to like use me for work.
Try to benefit something.
Yeah. Right. To get a benefit out of it. And I'm like, it pissed me off because like what benefit? 1, why are you doing that to me? And then 2, what benefit are you freaking getting? So it was like that on top of everything. I was like, okay, I'm done talking to him. And so then from that point on, if it wasn't about work, I did not talk to him. And I would talk to him at work about work stuff, but that's pretty much it. As far as like us hanging out, I was like, no, I'm good. And so, I think that went on for like a couple months or maybe a month or so. 'Cause this was the year I was quitting. And so, then he was getting like worse at work. Like I had already written him up a few times, during our friendship. So like, I don't know what you were getting. And then like, okay, like now I need to fire you, like, because you didn't been written up so many times, like, and
nothing's changing.
Right. And so then he just, he ended up quitting.
I remember that was such a weird time.
It was such because a weird time. Because the day before he told me he was quitting, because he didn't want to get fired. So I get it, you quit before you get fired. But the night before, he had like written all these notes and stuff. Yes. And it was just like,
yes, it was very, very weird. Like, I remember that whole week was weird.
Yeah.
It was very weird. But, like, we all saw it coming, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was coming. Yeah.
We all saw it coming. And I think, I don't know if that's what made it weird, but it was just a weird environment at work. And I don't think just between, like, you two or, like, or me, because we all talked and stuff. I think just throughout. Like, I think it was just a weird, like, feeling.
Yeah. And so, like, I mean, he was talking to somebody else, I guess, about issues because she had brought it up. She brought the letters that he wrote. And so,
yeah, it was so I just weird.
Thought that was straight bull. So I'm like, don't write me a fucking letter. You know what I mean? Right. Like, you've been, or supposedly had been my friend, because he tried to backtrack and say, like, he wasn't trying to, like, use me for friendship. He meant it some other way or whatever. But, don't write me a damn letter. Right. Like, if you really meant, I don't even remember everything because we read the letters out loud.
That's what I was just about to say. I was like, I remember. That's how awkward it was. Like,
because we had, so this is the thing, to explain it a little bit more. We had a shout out box at work.
Yes.
So we would like write notes to each other and
just like read to shout out everybody.
Right. To read them in our meeting.
Yes.
And so in the box, she had put the notes in the shout out box.
Yep. And then usually, like, if it wasn't like Jamaica that read them, it was, somebody else that like offered to read out loud.
Right.
So like, it was a surprise for everybody when they were like starting to read them. And I remember we were all like looking at each other like, what is going on?
And mine was pretty like personal. Yes. So I was like, dang, do I want to read this to everybody? Because it was pretty personal.
Yep.
And then I was just like, I don't really care about the note because you didn't say any of this to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you really meant what you wrote in that damn note, you would have said it to me. I think I lost the note like the next day. Like, that's how much it meant to me.
Right.
So yeah, it was very, very weird because I'm like, I felt like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like we had done such a good job of keeping our friendship and work separate enough that nobody would know if we had any issues.
Right.
Or if we didn't have any issues or whatever. And so for you to do that.
And then the day, that was the last day, was very weird too, I remember. That whole week was just weird. Like, if I'm saying it was weird, I could just imagine for you, like...
So it's like, damn, everybody that read they know. I can't like not read mine.
Right.
You know?
Oh man, those are the days.
So that, I mean, I was already getting ready to quit at that point, too. So I think that's part of why I didn't care either. And so then that happened, and I didn't talk to him again, for a while, and then till we went out one night for Leo's birthday. And he was invited. And that was the first time I had talked to him in quite a while. I mean, that night was great. I mean, that day for Leo's birthday, we had a really good time. And then he had driven us all home. Because he was the only one who had a car. I think the rest of us had like took Ubers or whatever.
Yeah, because Leo decided to do this like up north now or something.
Yeah, and so he had taken me, Leo, and Leo's friend home. And then that night he had gotten like a DUI or something. Or he had crashed his car, or his tire fell off. I don't know. Something happened that night.
Also, he was always getting into car accidents or something, from what I remember.
Yeah, always something with the car. But yeah, then something happened with the car after he had dropped, because he had dropped Leo off, then me, then Leo's friend. And so I guess after all that, something happened with the car, and he had told me. And so I think, and from that point, here and there, we kind of talked, but not really. And then, you know, I think that we did start hanging out a little bit after that. But nothing was really different. I was still like struggling to like, you know, trust him, and you know,
I mean, with every right.
Yeah, to trust that he would be a good friend or a good person to me. But I opened the door again. Well, he knocked. Yeah, he knocked and I opened it. And you know, we would talk here and there, hang out here and there. But I don't know why we stopped talking again. Oh, no. That's when we started to okay, I remember now. Okay. That's when we started to hang out a lot more, actually. Right. And had went out with you a couple times. Yeah.
When one of my friends thought he was gay.
Yeah. And so yeah, me and him had started to get,
y'all hung out a lot more.
Yeah, a little bit more intimate with each other. Because I think it was like, I'm not working there anymore. He doesn't work there anymore. Mm-hmm. We don't have to worry about work. I think that just like
opened the door.
Yeah, opened the door for us to
get the tension out of the way.
I don't know if that was the tension. Start exploring a little bit more. And I was like, okay, cool, this is fine. You know, we having a good time. I don't think I was like looking for anything more than that. It was just, we were having a good time. And so we had a good time a couple times. And then, I think a few months had passed, you know, we were still hanging out. Maybe not as often as we used to when we were first friends, but we were still hanging out pretty often. And we were pretty good. Right. And then, at one point I was like, I might want to date him. I don't know, you know? And then, I just started thinking about that a little bit more. And then, I brought it to him. I told him, I was like, I've been thinking about, you know, dating you. At the time I had started to talk to somebody else.
Yeah, because I think during this time, you were still talking Like you were still like open to other relationships.
Oh yeah, I was still dating other people. Yeah. I still had other stuff going on.
Other dudes were introduced.
Yeah,
like, and all of the above.
Yeah, I still had other stuff going on. He had just become like a big kind of back and forth for me.
Right.
Yeah, right. But I had other people I was talking
he was, to my
stuff.
Understanding, he was aware of that as well.
Oh yeah,
Because then also keep in mind, with all of this. Like Leo would be like, oh, 5-year plan between them two.
Leo had the dream that me and him would ultimately end up back together.
So I think when Jamaica talked about some of these other dudes to us, like I think that was the main concept sometimes when he was brought up again.
We're right on track, type of thing. And so I think I had at one point there was nobody else I was really talking to or dating. But there was kind of a new person around who was interested in me. But I still had the thing going with him at the same time too.
And I think you wanted clarity.
Yeah, and I wanted to figure out which way I wanted to go. And really I kind of wanted to go both ways to see. Right. To see what I really wanted. Right. So I had brought it up to him, and I had told the other dude about him, and I had brought it up to him. I was like, hey, I think, I'm getting more interested into you, and I think that maybe dating you is something I'm interested in. And we gonna have to talk about more
in the next episode,
in part 2, about what happened. But we're gonna talk about what happened with that, and where that situation is now, and what else has come along the way.
And then weekly updates.
And then we are going to go live on Instagram every Thursday, so we can just talk about dating and things that we are struggling with and learning with, because there's a lot of struggles I'm having with dating. Obviously there's a lot of things that I've done with dating and giving people chances when maybe I shouldn't. So,
and I'm actively dating now. Or so I say.
And we're gonna hear more about that from Anna too. So make sure y'all come back for part 2 of our situationships. And we'll see you next time.